Why key officials aren't even showing up to the trial. And in sports, find out what Ohio's head football coach is saying after one of his fellow MAC colleagues is fired. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
I'm Ben Schwartz, thanks for joining us. You may have less time to park in the city of Athens, as well as pay a little more. City Council passed sweeping changes to the town's parking rules last night. The biggest change, high-intensity zones. Streets such as Court Street will charge $1 an hour for parking, and now you'll have to pay for parking up until 8 p.m. as opposed to 6 p.m. Council members said the new rules help open up parking, but some residents believe the new rules are too harsh.
You know, I can certainly afford to pay $1 to park. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is why are they even doing this? You know, they seem to think it's going to have more people are going to go to restaurants. I don't understand that thinking at all.
Council members are encouraging residents to use the parking garage on East Washington Street as a cheaper alternative to parking on Court Street. A new beverage distribution warehouse is scheduled to begin construction in Albany, Ohio in the coming weeks. The Dixie Beverage Company plans to use the warehouse to distribute Red Bull energy drinks in Ohio and West Virginia. The 7-acre area of land is currently owned by Don Linder of LCR Realty in Athens, with construction set to be done by West Virginia-based company Construction Solutions. A temporary warehouse in Canaanville is being used until construction is complete. The warehouse has 9 full-time employees and does not plan to hire any more once the new facility is complete. AEP Ohio is blaming equipment failure for a 2-hour electric failure, which shut down businesses and backed up traffic in Marietta. The Marietta Times reports the outage left 8,000 customers without electricity for about an hour and a half. North and western parts of Marietta, along with portions of Davula and Maxburg, were affected.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm your forecaster, Cameron Saliga, and we take a look at the headlines. We see that there's some frost in the forecast. Also, there's a chance of showers on the weekend, and there's a cooler trend is going to continue throughout this week and possibly more. Right now in Athens, it's 52 out there. It's fair and calm with winds out of the south, 0 to 5 miles per hour. And we take a look at the temperatures right now around the area. 52 in Athens, 51 in Marietta, 53 in Ripley, and 54 down in Ironton. So it's going to be a very cool one out there. Back to you, Ben.
Thanks, Cameron. The family of an Ohio war veteran is waiting to learn if they can return home after Hurricane Michael. Julian Arrowwood and her family were in the process of moving from Ohio into Tyndall-based housing in the Florida Panhandle. They moved to help take care of Arrowwood's veteran father-in-law, but they all had to evacuate as Hurricane Michael approached. Now base leaders say much of the housing at Tyndall is a total loss.
In the event they do end up calling it a loss, which terrifies me, then we're going to have to find another place to go.
Active military families were given a stipend to find living accommodations until they can return to the base, but Arrowwood says retirees weren't given any money or instructions. A company working on the Corridor H highway in West Virginia will have to halt construction. The State Department of Environmental Protection is ordering the company to stop after multiple violations. The Charleston Gazette-Mail reports inspectors found the company violated a water quality permit. There's a hiccup in the process to impeach members of the West Virginia State Supreme Court. As Mark Curtis reports, key figures in the case never showed up.
The Senate gavelled into session just after 9 Monday morning and was scheduled to hear the impeachment trial of Supreme Court Chief Justice Margaret Workman. But Justice Paul Farrell, who is the presiding officer, and Justice Workman herself did not show up. That's because last week the acting Supreme Court justices ruled the impeachment process is unconstitutional. There is debate now that even Justice Alan Lawfrey, who was convicted on 11 federal felony charges last Friday, can't even be impeached.
Under the opinion issued by the court, it's entirely possible that a federal felon can remain as a sitting member of our state Supreme Court with little opportunity, if any opportunity, for the legislature to take any action about it.
But key Democrats disagree.
The Supreme Court has given us a ruling that we can act on. If the House of Delegates wants to go back and re-impeach any of the justices, they surely have the authority to do that.
There are those who believe some sort of immediate action needs to be taken to remove Justice Lawfrey from office. The impeachment trials cost an estimated $7,000 per day.
We shouldn't have to go and spend $7,000 a day to impeach a man who is on his way to prison. He should automatically be purged from those roles.
The Senate is asking the Supreme Court to rehear this case with input from the House. Republicans argue there is a separation of powers argument here.
That this decision improvidently places the court system squarely into what is a power of the legislature in between the House and the Senate for an impeachment.
The impeachment stems from a multi-million-dollar court spending scandal where justices spent lavishly on office renovations and decorations.
If the impeachment process isn't done by the time next session is sworn in, they'll have to start all over again in January. A couple and their 5 children are recovering after being thrown from their Amish buggy after a rear-end collision. Ohio police say the family is expected to be okay. Police in Sullivan Township say the buggy had reflective tape and 3 lanterns at the time of the crash. 47-year-old Patrick Mascaro, who crashed into the buggy, was arrested for operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol and/or drugs. Mascaro reportedly has 5 drunk driving convictions dating back to 1992. An advocate for Mothers Against Drunk Driving says the convictions speak to a broken system.
There's 5 OVI convictions. He didn't get it. He hasn't gotten it.
The horse pulling the buggy was severely injured and had to be put down. No word if Mascaro has a lawyer or how he is pleading. An Ohio serial killer will spend at least 30 years in prison. Robert Rembert Jr. pled guilty to charges in 4 slayings. He also apologized before his sentencing. Authorities say Rembert raped and strangled Rita Mae Payne in 1997 and Kimberly Hall in 2015, and he also fatally shot his cousin and family friend in 2015. Rembert previously served 6 years in prison for killing Deidre Lewis in 1997. And crime victims' rights might not change in Kentucky, even if Marsy's Law is voted through in the upcoming election. Kentucky is one of 6 states scheduled to vote on Marsy's Law. The proposed constitutional amendment will guarantee crime victims similar rights in the judicial system to those accused of crimes. A judge has ordered election officials in Kentucky not to certify the results. Kentucky voters will still cast ballots on the question, and election officials can count them. However, officials can't certify the results until appellate courts have ruled. And in other election news, the Kentucky Democratic Party is filing an ethics complaint against Republican Governor Matt Bevin. The complaint is for Bevin using his official Twitter account to support a GOP congressman's re-election campaign. The tweet says Bevin was at the rally with a packed house of people who love President Donald Trump and are supporting U.S. Representative Andy Barr. It has since been deleted. Kentucky Democratic Party Chairman Ben Self says state law bans elected officials from using state time, resources, and equipment for political campaign purposes. The Akron City Council is scrapping legislation which would impose jail time on dog owners whose pets bark loudly. City Council voted to follow the recommendation of its Public Safety Committee to not approve legislation. The proposed legislation included increasing nuisance barking to a 4th-degree misdemeanor, with a $250 maximum fine and up to 30 days in jail. 2 countries have conflicting stories on what happened to a Saudi journalist after he disappeared. Why top officials in the U.S. are getting involved, these stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Baseball is going fast, but don't get bored on us mid-season now. The playoff picture is starting to develop, and every game that we bring you will have playoff implications. Right now is one of the most exciting times of the fall.
Which means you can't afford to miss Friday nights with us. Live at 11:30, Gridiron Glory is here for you.
And check out our Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages all throughout the week. They're chock full of coverage.
So start your weekends with us. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights in Gridiron Glory.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, those stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
Republican and Democratic members of Congress want tough consequences if missing journalist Jamal Khashoggi was indeed killed inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo held meetings with top Saudi leaders in Riyadh, and the president says answers will be coming soon. Karen Kaifa has the latest on what's becoming a high-stakes foreign policy decision for President Trump.
From both sides of the aisle, calls to send a message to Saudi Arabia.
What we want the president to do is not only take action, but we want his language to be very clear that America will not tolerate this type of behavior.
If the recognition is that Saudi Arabia had something to do with this, which it appears to be, then we need to hold them accountable.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, in an interview with Bloomberg News, said Congress wants the facts.
We need to find out first what happened before deciding what kind of response is appropriate.
Turkish investigators spent 9 hours inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul Monday, their first permitted entry nearly 2 weeks after Jamal Khashoggi's disappearance. And Tuesday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo sat down with top Saudi leaders for brief meetings the State Department described as direct and candid. A senior advisor to the president says Trump's decision on how to handle the Saudi matter may be the most consequential of his presidency. But it's complicated. Saudi Arabia is a military and strategic ally, and actions like halting U.S. arms sales could send the Saudis to do business with Russia. But many believe other priorities are crucial.
There isn't enough money in the world to purchase back our credibility on human rights and the way nations should conduct themselves.
On Monday, sources said the Saudis were preparing to allege that Khashoggi died during a botched interrogation operation that did not have clearance. Khashoggi's family has called for an independent international commission to investigate. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
And the journalist isn't the only person making the news in the U.S. The FBI is assisting police in Wisconsin with the search for a teenage girl whose parents were found dead. An Amber Alert has been issued for 13-year-old Jamie Kloss, who is considered missing and endangered. She is 5 feet tall, 100 pounds, with green eyes and blonde hair. Police got a 911 call yesterday from an unknown person at a home in Barron County. Deputies arrived at the house and discovered the bodies of the girl's parents, Denise and James Kloss.
I haven't seen anything like this in rural western Wisconsin. We just don't see this, thankfully.
Miami police say Jamie Kloss may have been seen yesterday afternoon in Florida. At least 30 states have reported possible cases of a disease similar to polio. Acute flaccid myelitis, a disease mostly affecting younger children, can paralyze those infected. The CDC has reported a rise in the illness since 2014, with a significant number of children diagnosed also testing positive for respiratory diseases. There has been one confirmed case of the disease in Ohio this year, with states such as Colorado seeing at least 14 so far. Texas floods cause a bridge to collapse. That story is still ahead.
Showers are in the forecast. Find out when in my full weather. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at woub.org. And thank you.
I love PBS because at the heart of everything PBS does is education.
I use PBS not only in my home, but also in my classroom.
It's kind of the idea of being the great equalizer for learning and for education.
I'm a lifelong learner, and PBS has always been part of that journey for me.
I love PBS because PBS supports teachers.
They know what works for kids and what's best for kids, and that's why I love PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Heavy rain in Texas is causing major floods around the central part of the state, even causing a bridge to collapse. In Llano, Texas, the Llano River rose to almost 40 feet this morning, 35 feet higher than it was yesterday, before destroying the bridge in its path. The Llano River connects with the Colorado River nearby as well, which caused major flooding in other nearby communities. The flooding is expected to start receding later tonight, but will stay in the major flood state until tomorrow. Now let's head over to Cameron for a look at our forecast.
Thank you, Ben. And today is looking very cool out there. 52, continuing the trend of seeing this unseasonable weather. Fair and calm out there with a south wind of 0 to 5 miles per hour. And we can check out the temps right now. In Chillicothe, we have 54. In Athens, we have 52. And in Marietta, we have 51. And with a high down here in Ironton of 54. And we see the dew points are in the mid-30s, so not as humid anymore. We're going to start seeing these dew points drop, and we're going to start seeing the humidity fall off as the season goes on. Today, the high was 55. It's 10 degrees below normal than we're used to seeing, and then we see the low right here. It's 38. It's right on the normal with a record of 83 in 1989 and a low of 29 set in 1983. So tonight, for your hour by hour, at 8 p.m., we're going to start to see partly cloudy skies, and then we're going to start to see some clouds taper off as we go throughout the night, dropping into the 40s and down into the 30s by the early morning hours. We see precipcast. There is clear right now. You see this high pressure right here and this low pressure right here that will progress and bring us cooler temperatures throughout the next couple days. And temperatures overnight, we see 39 down in Jackson, 40 down in Ironton, 38 in Athens, and 39 in Marietta. It'll be pretty clear out there again. And your bus stop forecast is going to start off 38 degrees, chilly and clear, so you're going to want to bundle the kids up for the bus stop tomorrow. And we see tomorrow in Athens, it's 57 out there with breezy out there with dry air, with winds coming from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with gusts up to 20 miles per hour. And we'll see the temperatures tomorrow in the mid-50s, 57 in Athens. It's going to be a nice one tomorrow, sunny out there, so it's time to get out and enjoy. We see this precipcast, this cold front starting to move through, and it'll be moving through in the afternoon hours, bringing even cooler temps to the area. We see the day planner tomorrow, sun for the entire day. It's going to start off in the 30s, and then we're going to get up into the 50s and mid-50s by 4 p.m. And we check out your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow will start off 57, sunny. Thursday we're going to drop down to 51, and the 32 overnight on 30 and 32 overnight on Wednesday and Thursday. There will be frost coming into the area, and by Friday we may see a shower or two with a cold front moving through, and then Saturday morning also as well with a chance of rain. And then we're going to start off the work week next week, sunny and 58 degrees. Over to you.
Thanks, Cameron. If you're pregnant and thinking about whether or not you should get a flu shot this season, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention may have some news you could use. Here's Kim Hutcherson with today's Health Minute.
The flu vaccine reduces a pregnant woman's risk of hospitalization due to influenza by an average of 40%, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC analyzed data from more than 2 million pregnant women over 6 flu seasons and found that a flu shot significantly reduces a pregnant woman's chance of hospitalization for a flu-related illness. Among the key findings, more than 80% of pregnancies overlap with flu season. The flu vaccine was equally protective for pregnant women during all 3 trimesters, even with underlying medical problems like asthma or diabetes. Health authorities say pregnant women can get vaccinated at any time during their pregnancy. The CDC says an estimated 80,000 Americans died of flu and its complications last winter, making it the deadliest season in more than 4 decades. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
Officials are recommending everyone ages 6 months and above to get a flu shot.
Hi there, I'm Brian Kerp. The Bowling Green Falcons come to Peden Stadium on Saturday without one key person. Find out who after the break. Also, find out which high school football teams received votes in this week's AP State polls next on Newswatch. And here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
This fall is going fast, but don't get bored on us mid-season now. The playoff picture is starting to develop, and every game that we bring you will have playoff implications. Right now is one of the most exciting times of the fall.
Which means you can't afford to miss Friday nights with us. Live at 11:30, Gridiron Glory is here for you.
And check out our Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages all throughout the week. They're chock full of coverage.
So start your weekends with us. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights in Gridiron Glory.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Brian Kerp. This Saturday, Ohio football welcomes Bowling Green to Athens, minus one person, their head coach, Mike Jinks. Jinks was fired over the weekend due to the program's recent struggles. The interim coach is Carl Pellini, who has ties with Ohio's coach, Frank Solich.
He knows exactly what he wants to get done, and so I think he'll take charge. It won't be a deal where he'll step in softly. He'll make changes where he feels changes need to be made to improve the program.
The Falcons come in with the mindset that they don't have much to lose. Solich acknowledged that Ohio has to be prepared for whatever the Falcons might throw at the Bobcats.
They're starting all over fresh. It's 0-0 for them in terms of record and what they're going to be all about. They're going to try to be a completely different team, so that's what it is. It can be an advantage for a team. It can be a disadvantage for a team.
Kickoff for homecoming weekend is at 2 p.m. The high school football season is nearing a close. Teams in Gridiron Glory's coverage received votes in this week's Associated Press state poll. In Division II, Chillicothe is currently in 12th place. In Division III, the Sheridan Generals are currently in 7th place and the Hillsborough Indians are in 16th place. Lastly, the Trimble Tomcats are currently in 9th place in Division VII. The Ohio men's and women's golf teams participated in a few invitationals the past few days. The men's team participated in the Elon Phoenix Invitational in Burlington, North Carolina. The Bobcats finished in 2nd place overall with a total score of 848. They were led by sophomore Zach Crawford, who had a score of 209 and shot 5 under par. The women's team participated in the Fall MAC Preview held in Noblesville, Indiana. The team finished in a tie for 8th place with Western Michigan and had a score of 930. Freshman Catherine Loftus led the way for the Bobcats with a score of 227 and shot 12 over par. 2 golfers were also named the Ohio Scholar Athletes of the Week. Men's senior golfer Ben Sattler was named the Male Scholar Athlete of the Week. Last week, Sattler tied for 8th place in the Health Plan Mountaineer Invitational with a score of 220 and shot 4 over par. He was also named the MAC Co-Golfer of the Week, the first time he earned this honor. Senior Emily Hughes was in the Female Scholar Athlete after she led the way for the Bobcats at the Shirley Spork EMU Invitational. She finished the event with a score of 152 and shot 8 over par. Green Bay Packers kicker Mason Crosby missed 4 field goals and 1 extra point last week. He looked to bounce back last night against the San Francisco 49ers. In the 4th quarter, they're tied at 30. Aaron Rodgers throws it deep and he finds Equanimous St. Brown to move the chains. And then Rodgers ends up connecting with Devontae Adams along the sideline for another first down with 6 seconds left. That sets up Mason Crosby for the game-winning 27-yard field goal attempt, and he buries it. The Packers defeat the 49ers 33-30. I'm Brian Kerp, and that's it for sports. Right over to you, Cameron.
I'm forecaster Cameron Saliga. We'll take a look at your day planner tomorrow. We start off, and we're going to see temperatures in the 30s to start off at 6 a.m. By noon, we'll see temperatures in the 50s. And by 4 p.m., we'll see temperatures in the mid-50s with sun. Back to you.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.